consent. It is questionable. So it's got to be given without any misrepresentations, without trickery. The classic case, just so people understand this, is I think it was an Oakland County Sheriff's case where they are standing at the front door, knock on the door, have a clipboard in their hand. Person opens his door. The sheriff opens his leather pouch that he's carrying, and on it is on the clipboard is a search warrant, it says. He gets his card from this area and hands it to him and says, "Hi, I'm Sheriff Watson, we want to come in and look around." The homeowner, looking down at the folder that he's holding in the clipboard, sees a search warrant and believes at the moment, because it was represented, we have a search warrant for your house. Let him in. That is not knowing voluntary consent. That's trickery.
Yep.
Okay? So when a person says to the homeowner that we need to do a compliance check, number one, they don't have the legal authority to do that, and asking for a compliance check is not something that they have the authority to do. They can ask for consent to search, and when they ask you for consent to search, they're asking for that. There's no implication that they're going to check for compliance and recommend what to do to bring it into compliance and come back and find you later, which is more of a conceptual compliance check.
They're just trying to help keep everybody,
You think so?
No, of course not.
Well, the point is that you would think the offering of a compliance check is different, or if the offering of a compliance check is something quite different than consent to search and or consent to search and felonize you, right? There's a big difference. So at the end of the day, it is this issue that we prevailed on, because without the Medical Marijuana Act, without knock and talk, it doesn't matter. Consent is a legal term that's been lots of jurisprudence on the issue of consent from all different angles, as a defense, as a waiver of citizens' rights. I mean, all the bad things the government is not allowed to do to you that are articulated in the most, I would say, in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, can go on if you consent, if you waive them, right? I mean, that's what it is. Like, so consent is something that has to be taken very seriously. It is the cornerstone of the way that the government gets around warrantless searches, which are per se legal, by saying that you consented when, in fact, you were tricked. And I would just warn folks out there that hear officers attempting to utilize this concept of compliance checking when you are a patient or caregiver, because there exists no legal authority. Now, that's the end of that point, but Jim Powers, I feel the need to have to answer your question. Then they say to you, too bad, I'm going to get a warrant anyways. All right.
And then I'm going to trash your house because you didn't agree to it.
Okay, here's your choices. Number one is, I give this advice because of my experiences of what takes place out there and how I've seen the way that drug task forces have scrutinized immunity. The problem that I have with the scrutiny of immunity is that it is in their financial and economic best interest to find someone outside of immunity, because then forfeiture proceeds goes directly to them. Therein lies the problem. Now, if these circumstances are taking place, and I would suggest that people be ready for them and be ready to take steps to record, participate in the gathering of evidence when these events are taking place. It's not as hard these days to pull out your phone and record the event, even if you have it in your pocket while it's taking place. If you record these things while it's taking place and they're threatening you at the gate, fine. I know you still don't want them coming back and destroying your house. You don't want to have to call Comorn to come in and get the search warrants thrown out, and after you've been arrested and your house has been destroyed. There's no promise there'll be a lawsuit if they lied in the search warrant. None of that. But the point is, it's a decision to be made in an individual situation. My leanings are that there is lack of, we're not in a state yet where, because of general financial motivations, greed, piggery, we're not there yet. Not inviting police officers into the house if there's medical marijuana caregiving going on. However, if you feel confident, you really feel confident that you're below your numbers in plant count and have less than 2.5 ounces of usable marijuana and no unusable marijuana, you might want to consider letting them into your house.
I don't know about that. There was a case where they got consent to go in the house.
Did you just recommend to let the police in the house?
I'm being sarcastic. I'm saying if you're a caregiver, you have only 2.5 ounce of usable marijuana, and listen now, no unusable marijuana.
Yeah.
Which is like impossible, right?
I would.
Of course, I'm saying, listen.
Never,
the point,
ever.
I'm saying,
Ever.
Jim,
Ever.
Don't confuse it. I'm saying this. You were arguing that, well, what if they're going to threaten you to come in and blah, blah, blah.
I wasn't advocating to say yes. I'm just saying that I understand why people do it.
They're intimidating.
Uh-huh.
Well, they're intimidated, and it's true if they come back and get a search warrant, they're going to break up the house. Mm-hmm. Now, if you record all that, and they do that, and while they're going to get the search warrant, you photograph and, get all the evidence to prove your compliance, or make sure you're in compliance, or make sure that you've recorded yourself in compliance. I mean, and they just come in and destroy your stuff with a search warrant?
They usually detain you while they get the search warrant.
They do.
They're not going to let you.
No. If you're in your house, they can't detain you.
They will
come in.
They cannot come in. If you go outside, they will.
They will detain you.
They can't come in the house.
I agree with T-Pain. You open the door, they're going to detain you.
You don't go out. I mean,
well, you don't step out on the porch.
You have to come out, or they have to go in to detain you.
Right. If you don't come out on the porch, they can't just come in.
No, I agree, but it's a blurry line, I think, for most people when you talk about a police officer reaching into a home to grab somebody and pull them out.
No, this is what it is. You open the door, the screen door remains closed. You talk through with the front door in close proximity if you need to close it, because your play is to retreat back into your home to protect yourself against.
It's great advice, Michael. Most people step right out onto the porch and close the door behind them.
That's not a bad. That's the second thing they do, because they are not being invited in. Okay,
right.
Now, what happens out there? If you're doing that, then somebody should, thinking if you got someone else that's recording through the window. I mean, look have a recording on the front porch if you're that afraid of it. That's going to a server off-site, or, I mean, listen, nobody wants to have to go through this. Maybe there'll be a time that it doesn't happen. I'm just pointing out that today, in a courtroom in the state of Michigan, somewhere in Wayne County, a judge said, you know what, that's government overreach, an unreasonable search and seizure. The government was not able to this is not consent. They tricked and fooled. Mm-hmm. And the behavior must be called out as unconstitutional, and all the evidence was suppressed. I just want to celebrate that moment for a second.
It should be celebrated, and
you're
an excellent attorney, Michael, and you've done a great service to your client. But I want to underscore the fact that your client had a really great attorney.
Right.
Well,
there's a lot of folks that don't, and they don't end up as lucky.
Well, we just heard the story of this 80-some-year-old grandmother who invited the police in. They came and knocked on her door. And she said, I have nothing to hide. And she opened the door, and boom, she spent the night in jail, dragging her own mattress around.
Do you know what the other big case was where they consented to let the police in to inspect?
Mansour, listen, let me say this. At the end of the day, the lessons here to be learned are, don't be fooled into believing that there exists a legal authority for police officers or drug task force officers to check or determine your compliance with the MMA. Lesson number 2 is never, ever, ever consent to a search. Never. Today, the often forgotten Fourth Amendment got some love today. My joy is that the court today had the courage and wisdom to make the right ruling. Yep. So we'll leave it at that.
The prosecutor isn't going to, they didn't indicate they wanted to appeal this.
I don't think they do that there.
Oh, good.
All right. So I'm going to be the buzzkill here and say we're coming up on our 9 o'clock hour. We need to take a break. I have word that Attorney Alan Peisner is going to call in at 9:17 on the dot for the appellate update, so that's going to be great. We've got Jamie and Rick coming up a little bit later.
That seems like it's too. We got to. Can we get Alan to call in earlier?
No. We got to take a quick break, and that's going to take a second. So we're going to go do that. We're going to come back online for about 5 minutes, and we'll jump right into the appellate update.
All right, let's do that. Let's take a quick break then and do that that way.
All right.
Okay.
of a higher man say. Babylon throne gone down, gone down. Babylon throne gone down. Then I hear the words of the Rasta man say. Babylon throne gone down, gone down. Babylon throne gone down. I say fly away home to Zion. Away home, oh children. Boy, I say fly away home to Zion. Away home, oh yeah. One bright morning, when my work is over, man will fly away.
You ready? Okay. What's wrong, dear brother? Have you lost your faith? Don't you remember a better place? Needles and things have done you in, like the setting sun. Oh, dear brother, trouble weighs a ton. What's wrong, dear sister? Did your world fall down? Do men misuse you and push you around? Same story, dear, year after year. Pathetic men run. Oh, dear sister, trouble weighs a ton. Trouble in the air, trouble all I see. Does anybody care? Trouble killing me, or it's killing me. What's wrong, dear mother? Has your child disobeyed and left you hurting in so many ways? Once was sweet, is sorrow and grief that cannot be undone. Oh, dear mother, trouble weighs a ton. Oh, dear mother, trouble